Her hand rested on her belly, big and round, while her eyes locked onto mine like a snake sizing up prey. Right next to her sat Daniel, the guy she told me was just someone she chatted with at the gym. Real smooth-looking guy, sitting there with that smug grin like he had already won. My attorney leaned in to whisper something, but it went right past me. I wasn't listening. I was too focused on her voice as it echoed through the courtroom, sharp as nails on metal. My husband left me when I needed him most, she said. This baby is his. So yes, I deserve support. I deserve his money. I deserve everything. She had the nerve to call me her husband after all that? The ring on her finger caught the light. Big, flashy, probably fake. She was playing a game, dragging me into this courtroom just to show off her shiny new life, like I was the bad guy who ran off and left her high and dry. Daniel leaned over, whispered something to her, and she laughed. Actually laughed. I stayed quiet. Didn't move. Didn't blink. But I smiled, slow and easy. It was the kind of smile that makes people uncomfortable. Even the judge sat up a little straighter. Then I said it, calm as a whisper. Your Honor, I was not planning to do this. I reached into my jacket and pulled out a thick envelope. Set it on the table like it weighed 100 pounds. But she left me no choice. Inside that envelope? Proof. Not from a private investigator. I did it myself, because nobody would believe me when I said my wife was lying. That the baby wasn't mine. That she had been fooling around for months before she ever even filed for divorce. I laid it all out. Photos, screenshots, even a paternity test. Her face lost all color. Daniel stopped smiling. This child, I said, is not mine. And they both know it. I looked straight at Emily. This woman, who had once cried in my arms after her mother died. The one who begged me to give up my motorcycle because she said we had to start thinking about the future. That same woman now sat across from me, trying to bleed me dry for a kid that wasn't mine. She reached for the envelope, but the bailiff beat her to it. The judge started reading the DNA results, then flipped through the rest. Texts, timestamps, photos. There was one of her kissing Daniel in my old truck. Another of them in bed, with a hotel nightstand I knew too well. Daniel's face turned red as a stop sign. Emily muttered, "You bastard." But I kept that smile on. My heart was pounding, sure. But on the outside, ice. You mocked me in my own house, I said. Laughed at me behind my back. And now you think you can sit here and pretend I owe you something? Her voice was sharp. You think this changes anything? You still left. You're still a nobody. The judge raised his hand. That's enough. Let me finish reviewing the documents. I stared at her the whole time. This was the woman I used to bring flowers to every Friday. The one I stayed up with during her panic attacks. She was the one who convinced me to sell my motorcycle. The one who said Daniel was just a gym buddy. And now she was in court, lying to a judge's face, trying to stick me with a kid that was never mine. But I wasn't done yet. See, this whole courtroom mess? That was just the tip of the iceberg. The real story started weeks earlier, the night I finally followed her and saw it all with my own eyes. I had never been the jealous type. I trusted my wife. I believed her when she said Daniel was just stretching with her after workouts. But then, one night, she accidentally called me, around 11:47 p.m., and forgot to hang up. I heard it. Breathing. Moaning. Laughter. Then her voice, soft and fake sweet. You're so much better than him. That was the moment something inside me broke. I was parked 2 blocks from her office. She said she was working late. Midnight rolled around, and I got closer. Killed the engine. Watched. At 12:21 a.m., she came out. Hair messy. Skirt wrinkled. Daniel followed, looking like he just rolled out of a romance novel. They kissed. Not some friendly kiss. No, it was deep, like they couldn't wait to rip each other's clothes off. Then they got into my car, and drove off. The next day, she came home like nothing happened. Kissed me on the cheek, said she had to work on a pitched deck. Went straight to the shower. I sat on the edge of the bed and stared at the floor. From there, the lies piled up. You're paranoid. Daniel's gay. I'm just working late. But the passwords changed. The phone never left her hand. And every time I brought it up, she cried, flipped it around, told me I was controlling. So I started collecting receipts, screenshots, photos, everything. I waited. I knew she would slip. And one Thursday night, she said she was going to her friend Kelsey's for wine. Problem was, I knew Kelsey was in Aruba. So I followed. She went straight to a hotel on the edge of town. Checked in. 30 minutes later, Daniel walked in like he owned the place. I got the room across the hall. Sat there all night watching through the peephole. In the morning, they left together. Laughing. Holding hands. That weekend, I called my lawyer. Took the paternity test. And just like that, the fog started lifting. Now here we were in court. And I had not even played the worst card yet. 2 weeks before she filed for divorce, I had planted a small camera in my old SUV. The one she borrowed every time her car acted up. She never knew it was there. The footage showed them in the back of a dark parking lot. Daniel's hand on her leg, her head on his shoulder. Then she climbed onto him, right there in my truck. She was wearing my old college hoodie, the one she used to wear when she missed me. I sat and watched that footage for 20 minutes. Didn't blink. Just stared. Now she was here, demanding child support. For a child that was not mine. In a life she burned down herself. The judge flipped the last page in the folder. Based on the test results, Mr. Blake Peterson is not the father. And the submitted messages and evidence are clear. Emily jumped up so fast her chair squealed. He faked it. Those results are rigged. The judge did not even blink. And me? I had not even shown the video yet. Not yet. I was just getting started. The lab was certified, and the court verified everything. The judge said flatly. Sit down, Mrs. Kingsley. Yeah, Mrs. Kingsley. She even took his last name. That moron beside her looked proud of himself, like he just hit the jackpot. Let's see if he is still grinning when he finds out there is a second video. What Emily never expected was that Daniel was only part of her little circus act. There were others, plenty of others. Direct messages, credit card charges, hotel bookings, even fake accounts. I found it all after I filed. She once told me I didn't excite her anymore. Turns out, the only thing that did was keeping a steady rotation of men on call like it was some kind of sport. When the hearing took a break, she caught up to me in the hallway. Face all soft like none of that just happened. You didn't have to humiliate me, she hissed. You're doing all this because you're still hurt. I stared at her for a moment. No, Emily. I already went through the pain. Right now, I'm just standing back while you sink into the mess you made. Her eyes rolled, but her lip twitched, just enough for me to know she felt it. Control was slipping from her hands. This won't stop me, she whispered. No, I said. But you already stopped yourself. You just haven't crashed yet. She opened her mouth, probably ready to throw one more guilt trip at me, but I was already walking away. Daniel followed. Looked like he was going to try and play the man-to-man card. I cut him off cold. Hey, before you defend her, maybe ask about the guy from Charleston. Or the yoga retreat. You're not her happy ending, pal. You're just the next one in line. He stopped dead in his tracks. I got in my truck, the same truck where all this started. The one where I first heard her lie. First followed her. First saw her for who she really was. The calm that came over me wasn't joy, or even triumph. It was just silence. Peace. The envelope from court was sitting on the seat beside me, creased, smudged, still heavy with the tension of what had just happened. I knew this wasn't over. Emily would be back. Not just for cash, but for something deeper. She would want to ruin my name, my relationships, my sanity. I was ready. 3 weeks passed. Then, one night, a knock came at 9:47 p.m. I checked the peephole, and there she was. Hair done, lips shiny, belly showing through a tight dress that screamed, "Look how sad I am." I cracked the door, but didn't open it all the way. "What do you want?" She gave me that sideways grin, the one she wore the first time she lied to me, and thought I'd believe it. "You left some files at the lawyer's. Thought I'd bring them by myself." She held up a manila folder. Looked like a prop. I said nothing. She tilted her head. "You're not going to ask how I'm doing? You're not my responsibility anymore." That stung her. I could see it. She tried to hide it, but the hurt leaked through before she snapped back into performance mode. "You think this is what I wanted?" she asked, voice trembling just enough to sound rehearsed. "You think I planned any of this?" "No," I said. "You never plan. You just act. No thought. No consequences. Just wreckage." She stepped closer. "You loved me once." I chuckled. "I loved Santa Claus once too." That cracked her. Her lips curled. "You always needed to play the victim," she snarled. "Well, now you have your story." I looked her dead in the eyes. "No. My problem was thinking you were worth saving." Then I shut the door. No slam. Just firm enough to end the scene. 10 minutes later, my phone lit up. Unknown number. "You think you're untouchable? You'll regret crossing me." I flipped the phone over and left it face down. It had begun. First, she went online. posted a big, dramatic story about being abandoned while pregnant, painted me as the emotionally abusive ex who bailed. Her yoga friends, her coworkers, even her own mother jumped into the comments, cheering her on, calling me a monster. It would have been funny if it wasn't so predictable. I stayed quiet. Let her run her mouth. What she didn't know was that I still had audio from that first night in the parking lot, the night she admitted everything while thinking I couldn't hear her. She laughed, bragged about how easy I was to manipulate. I had that recording backed up 3 times. Then, a letter arrived. She was trying to reopen the case. Said she had new evidence. Claimed I owed her for emotional trauma, back support, the works. Still pretending the kid was mine. I didn't blink. Then came Daniel. I was walking to my car after work, and there he was, leaning on the hood like some D-list actor from a bad TV show. Eyes red, face pale. "I need to talk," he muttered, walking after me. "She lied to me too," he said. "She told me I was the father. Now she's saying it might be yours. But I saw the results. She's playing us both." I stopped, looked at him. He was unraveling. "She sneaks out at night," he added. "Comes home smelling like some other guy's cologne. Not mine. Not yours either. I don't even think she knows who the real father is." I shrugged. "Not my circus." "She told her brother you hit her," he whispered. "That's why they're coming after you." I stared at him. Of course she did. She had been telling her whole family I was violent and unstable, that she was afraid of me. But I had the messages, the voicemails, the receipts. This wasn't going to be a brawl. It was going to be a long, cold war. And I had patience. Daniel reached into his coat, handed me a flash drive. "She left her laptop open," he said. "Emails. Everything. I don't want to be part of this anymore." I took the drive without a word. I let it sit on the kitchen counter for almost an hour. Just stared at it under the one light I left on. Finally poured myself a whiskey, neat. Sat down. Plugged it in. And what I found, it cut clean through the last sliver of me that thought maybe, just maybe, Emily was just messed up. No. She was calculated. There were emails with 4 other men. Each one thought they were special. She had a schedule, hotel bills, flirty back and forths, full-blown relationships. One was married. Another was her boss. And in the middle of it all, a spreadsheet. A literal spreadsheet. It had names, income levels, emotional weaknesses. Under my name? Good job. Stable. Believes anything. Cries if you cry. 9 words. That's what I was to her. I closed the laptop. Sat back in my chair. No rage. Just silence. That silence was the sound of something breaking, but not me. It was the weight of my past finally falling away. The next morning, I called my lawyer. We filed for defamation, emotional manipulation, and requested a restraining order. I was not defending anymore. I was pushing back. 3 days later, she was at my door again, banging like she had a badge. Mascara running, holding a sonogram like it was a hostage photo. "I don't want to fight," she sobbed. "Please. Can we just talk?" I opened the door. Stepped outside. Shut it behind me. "Go ahead." She blinked, surprised I agreed. "I've been thinking. Maybe we rushed everything. Maybe we both made mistakes." I laughed. "Just once." Dry. "I made one mistake, Emily. I married you." Her face twisted. But she still tried to continue. "Daniel ain't the man I thought he was. He's rough, controlling, mean when nobody's looking. I do not feel safe with him anymore." That is what she said, right after showing up uninvited, looking like she had come straight from a sad movie set. I cut her off before she got too far. "You do not know the truth, Emily," I said. "You would not recognize it if it crawled inside your $1,000 purse and screamed your name." She blinked. "I am carrying your child," she snapped. "No, you are dragging around what is left of your dignity and not doing it well." The mask slipped. All that fake sweetness cracked into something sharp and nasty. "You smug piece of garbage," she hissed. "You think this little courtroom game scares me? I can destroy you." I stepped in close, calm as ever. "You already tried. All you did was prove to the world what you really are." She raised her hand, maybe to slap me, maybe to point. I did not wait to find out. I caught her wrist and eased it down. "Go home, Emily," I said, low and steady, "before you bury yourself even deeper than you already have." She stood frozen for half a second, then turned and stormed off like a storm cloud in heels. 2 days later, the video leaked. Not by me. Somebody else dropped it. Maybe Daniel, maybe one of the other guys she played. Maybe karma itself. It showed up on Reddit first, then it made its way to TikTok, and after that, It lit up Facebook like dry brush in August. The SUV footage, the audio, the spreadsheet. By the end of the week, Emily was out of a job. Daniel packed up and left her. Her friends vanished. Even her own sister sent me a message. You did not deserve that. Any of it. I did not reply. I just kept going. Emily tried to swing back. Tried to sue me for emotional trauma. Claimed I ruined her life. But by that point, her reputation was burned to ash, and no lawyer wanted to touch her story with gloves on. And that was when something hit me. Not revenge, not victory. Freedom. The kind that comes when you stop carrying other people's mess on your back and finally put it down for good. Everything got real quiet after that. The kind of quiet that lets you finally think straight again. I started sleeping not great, but better. The kind where you wake up without that twist in your gut. I even started jogging. 5 minutes, around the block. No music. Just the sound of my breath and my shoes on the pavement. It felt good to be moving forward, even if it was slow. But Emily was not done. One morning around 6:15, I stepped out to grab the newspaper. Yeah, I still read the print version, and found my garage door sprayed with red paint. Liar. Abuser. Father of nothing. I did not call the police. I did not paint over it. I left it up for the whole neighborhood to see. Because the more she screamed, the more people started whispering, and the more they looked, the more they figured out the truth. Mrs. Klein, my elderly neighbor who bakes the best damn cookies I have ever had, walked up that afternoon. She put her hand on my arm and said softly, "That girl is not well. Be careful." I smiled and nodded. I know. I am being careful. But in my head, I was already moving pieces around. My lawyer filed a no-contact order that same day. We had video, text threats, property damage. I handed it all over. 3 nights later, my phone rang. It was Daniel. I almost let it go to voicemail. But curiosity got the better of me. "She is gone," he said. Like, gone. Took off last night. Left her wedding ring in the sink. No note. Nothing. I waited. He added, "She cleaned out my savings account." Of course she did. He broke down on the call sobbing, rambling. "I believed everything she said about you. I thought you were the bad guy." I stayed quiet for a moment, then said what I had been thinking for a while. I was. Then I hung up. I did not owe him anything more than that. Let him sit with it. Let him stew in it like I had to when I first saw what she was. A week went by. Then another. Emily disappeared. No posts. No messages. Not even whispers. Her social media? Gone. Deleted. No selfies. No stories. Just a blank profile picture and an empty bio. And me? I gotta work on myself. It was slow. Real slow. I had to learn how to be alone again. How to trust my gut again after spending 6 years sleeping next to someone wearing a mask with my wife's name. But I got there. One night, I sat out on my back porch with a glass of bourbon and just thought about it all, the courtroom, the lies, the hell of it. I remembered the envelope I dropped on the table in front of the judge. The way I smiled at her after it hit the wood. That was not payback. That was power. She thought she broke me. All she did was take off her mask. And I woke the hell up. I picked up my phone and typed a note to myself. Never let anyone tell you that love makes you weak. Loving yourself makes you unstoppable. I stared at that line for a long while. Then I hit save. And for the first time in a long damn time, I felt whole. There was no parade for that moment. No music swelled. No confetti fell from the sky. It was quiet. It was peaceful. Like a breeze slipping in through the window right before the sun rises. You do not notice it right away, but one day you look around and realize you are not angry anymore. You are not waiting for the next hit. You are just living. That is when real closure showed up. It was a plain envelope. No return address. Just my name, handwritten. I almost tossed it. But something about the handwriting stopped me. Emily. I sliced it open with the old letter knife I had kept in my kitchen drawer for years. Funny how we hold on to little routines even after everything falls apart. One page. Folded twice. No perfume. No lipstick. Just her words. Blake. I do not expect forgiveness. Truth is, I hope you never give it. If you did, it would mean you were still the man I could bend. But you are not. You saw who I really was. You stood up, and you made me face it. That is more than most men would have done. Most would have broken. I left Daniel. I left town. I left the lies behind, or at least, I am trying to. Turns out the baby was not Daniel's. And it sure as hell was not mine either. In her words, I do not even know the guy's last name. That was the final truth. The only one she had left in her, I guess. She wrote it in a letter. No return address, no demands, no apology. Just ink on paper. Almost like a confession, or maybe an admission of defeat. I read it twice. Then I folded it up and tucked it into the drawer with all the other pieces of a life I no longer lived. My dad's busted wristwatch, the ring I used to wear on my left hand, some old photographs I have not had the guts to throw out but cannot look at either. That night, I stood by the window. Same porch, same backyard, same fence with that warped board I kept meaning to fix. Porch light still flickered like it always did. But something in the air had changed. And it was not because of her letter. It was because I finally realized I did not need her to be sorry. The healing had already happened. Quietly. Slowly. Without her. I had learned to trust myself again. To believe what I saw. To respect my own gut. I had started therapy not because I was falling apart, but because I wanted to carry less into the next chapter. I wanted to stop dragging her mess with me everywhere I went. So I did the things that made me feel like a person again. I wrote stories. I cooked real meals. I called old friends back. I laughed without guilt. I looked in the mirror and recognized the guy looking back for the first time in years. And that is when Rachel came into my life. We met at a little bookstore downtown. We both reached for the same copy of The Great Gatsby, the old one with the blue cover. She smiled. Let me take it. I offered her a coffee. She said yes. It was not fireworks. It was not some movie moment. It was peace. And peace, after surviving war, feels better than love. One night, Rachel asked me if I had ever been married. I told her yes. Told her it ended ugly. She did not push. Just nodded and said, "You seem like someone who learned something from it." She was right. I had learned that silence does not bury lies. It grows them. I had learned that betrayal does not just hurt your heart, it scrambles your mind. But mostly, I had learned that love, the real kind, starts with self-respect. It is not grand gestures. It is not candlelit speeches. It is choosing to stay when things get hard and knowing when to leave when they turn cruel. Emily did not break me. She exposed me. And what I found underneath that pain was a man I actually liked, a man I could stand beside without shame. Months passed. The court stuff wrapped up. The noise faded. She stopped calling. Her little army of online sympathizers disappeared too. No more surprise knocks. No more long posts filled with half-truths. No more drama. Just silence. Beautiful, earned silence. One evening, I got in the car and just drove. No map. No destination. Just me and an old playlist I had not touched since things first fell apart. Eventually, I pulled over at a scenic overlook just outside town. Emily and I used to stop there back when things were still good, or when I thought they were. We would sit on the hood of the car, drink coffee from gas station cups, watch the stars, and talk about where life might take us. But none of that happened. And looking back now, thank God. I leaned against the hood, different car, different man, and stared up at the sky. No dreams this time. Just memories. I thought about the lies she told, the way she turned my home into a hall of mirrors, the way she convinced me to beg for scraps while she gave strangers everything. And then I thought about what I did with that pain. I stood up. I walked through the fire. And I came out cleaner on the other side. I reached into the glove compartment and pulled out the wedding ring. Still in its box. Still untouched. I held it in my hand for a few seconds. No big speech. No tears. Then I stepped to the edge of the overlook and tossed it into the night. I never even waited to hear it hit the ground. Back in the car, I got a message from Rachel. "Dinner tomorrow?" I smiled. "Can't wait." I turned the music up, shifted into drive, and headed home. Not to a house full of ghosts and second-guessing, but to a place that finally felt like it belonged to me. If you are reading this and you have been where I was, if you have been lied to, broken down, made to feel small by someone who said they loved you, just remember this. You do not get stronger by pretending it did not hurt. You get stronger by walking straight through it, one bloody step at a time, until the fire is behind you. And when you come out the other side, you are not just healed. You are reborn.